another episode of Money Mondays. I am your host and creator, Alexis Milord. I'm also joined by our co host, Renisha, and our lovely guest for today, Miss Ruth Clenton. Thank you so much for joining us, Ruth.
My pleasure to be here with you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Again. Can you
Again, yes.
please give us a brief introduction of who you are, what you do, and why you're capable of talking about these real estate investments? Remember to look up at the camera.
All right, yes. So I am Ruth Clinton, Ruth on social media. As Alexis shared, that I'm going to be speaking here on real estate investment. So I am a part of a group of real estate educators called the Fortune Builders. So I've learned a lot from their education system, and I'm willing to share lots of what I've learned from their education system with you.
Awesome. So last week we talked a little bit about real estate investments. We talked about REITs. We also talked about tax liens. We talked about buying and flipping. And I believe we talked about, what else did we talk about last week? My mind is sick.
I think that was pretty much it.
Buying, flipping, buying, renting,
203K.
203K loan, but that wasn't, you know what I'm saying.
And then we also talked about, being able to put a contract on a house and then resell it. Is that
Yes, wholesaling.
Signing?
Thank
Okay.
you. Wholesaling. So, besides those that we talked about last week, what other real estate investments can you think of?
Ways to real estate
Yes.
to invest in real estate. Definitely you can do rentals, so buy and holding, fix and flips. I mean, the possibilities are endless. I even heard recently about doing Airbnb without actually owning the property. So
Explain that for us.
yeah. So what I heard about how this actually goes is you would actually like be a renter. You would rent the property, but it'd have to be in your contract that you're able to sublease.
Sublet. Okay.
Yeah, and so without even owning the property, you could potentially do Airbnb and earn income more than pay your rent. In fact, I think honestly that's how Airbnb got started. The guy who founded it wasn't able to pay his monthly rent payments, and so
He allowed other people to stay in his house. That's super genius.
Yeah.
I've never thought about that.
yeah.
What other real estate investments can you share with us, or ways to invest?
Ways to invest in real estate. You could also invest by maybe being a person who invests in real estate stocks, things like that.
The REIT.
Yeah. What else is there? I think you covered it all. Wholesaling, that's one way to do it. Fixing and flipping, which if you don't know what fixing and flipping is, you basically take a property that is not as up to par as it should be, and then you fix it up and then sell it for more than you purchased it for. Wholesaling, which would be what you guys mentioned, purchasing a contract and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Forward, yeah.
One thing we didn't talk about last week's episode was funding, and something that you know all about. So take us A through Z on funding real estate investments.
Okay, so I'll tell you everything I know about real estate funding. So, so there's different ways to get funding. Of course, you could invest in real estate by purchasing, like, regular your first loan type of thing. So, a first-time home buyer's loan.
right?
You could also get a hard money loan. So, hard money loans are where there are institutions that specialize in hard money loans. Usually, they have higher interest rates, and then they might charge you points, like 1 or 2, up to 4 points. The points would be based on the property, the value of the property.
Okay.
And so like 1 point I think is usually like 1%, or it's between 1% and 10%. Different hard money lenders have different point systems. Some people don't have point systems at all, and they just charge you, or you just pay 25%. Between 5 and 25% of the purchase price of the property. And yeah, so hard money loans are one of the ways you can get funding for real estate investment properties.
Ruth, before you go on to the next one, I just
Yeah.
want to make a quick announcement for anybody who is joining us live on Instagram. The conversation is interactive, so you can jump on and ask us questions. The way you'll be able to do that is if you watch this live through YouTube or through Facebook. It is Alexis's South Florida Oasis on both YouTube and Facebook, or if you just type in South Florida Oasis, it should pop up. That way you'll be able to comment, share whatever tips and tricks that you have, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we talked about hard money lending.
Right, hard money lending. So you would have points with that, as well as you'd have to be able to put forth a certain percentage of the amount of the property. And then, so like, let's say the property was $100,000, 25%. $25,000 on the property in order to get the rest of the money for the loan. The cool thing with hard money lenders is usually they specialize in giving loans to people who are interested in investing in real estate. So they'll include in your loan amount the amount that you have to pay for your rehab. So as a real estate investor, you want to make sure that you're not just buying any and every rundown property, because not every property is worth your investment. So before you purchase a property, you want to do your due diligence. You want to look at the neighborhood. You want to see how much you can sell it for. So just because you're getting a house for $15,000 doesn't mean it's going to sell for $200,000. It might only sell for $65,000. So you might be losing, if you, depending on how much you put into rehabs and all that kind of stuff, you might be losing out in the end. So
we have our first comment,
Awesome,
of the
yeah.
night. It's from Bernadette. Bernadette says, "Good evening, ladies." Good evening, Bernadette. It's been a minute since you watched our show. Thanks for watching, my love.
Awesome. Yeah, so definitely you want to make sure that you look at what the area you're investing in. Usually hard money lenders will help you do that as well. Hard money lenders, I hear, tends to be for rookie investors. So once you're like in the game quite a bit, you're not going to be depending on hard money lenders at first or at anymore. But at first it is something, if you're just now interested in getting into real estate, that's a way that an avenue that you can take. So again, hard money lenders will kind of help you to, of course, you got to do your own work, but hard money lenders will also help you to assess to see if it's actually worth the investment, and that kind of thing, And then, so that was one way of getting funding. Another way of getting funding is through private money lenders.
Okay.
So private money lenders, that could be you. That could be you. That could be your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother. And then there are also, for example, through organizations like real estate investment education systems like Renatus, Fortune Builders, and those are the two main ones that I know about. We could talk about real estate investment education companies later, but through those companies, you can also find private money lenders. So basically, private money lenders are people who are not necessarily a bank or an institution, but they have money that they're willing to invest for a great return on their investment. So the pros about using private money lenders are that they won't charge you those points. Sometimes they won't charge you anything. So, if the house is $100,000, a private money lender might give you the entire amount for the deal as well as the rehab. The only thing is with a private money lender, sometimes they're hard to find. And then also, well, I guess with either one, but with a private money lender, there usually are certain rules where, if things don't go as planned, the property then becomes entirely, it becomes the hard money lenders. I mean, the private money lenders. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there any other form of real estate
funding? Yeah, so credit for sure is one way. So if you have a business, you're able to get higher credit limits usually, but your personal credit has to be good first in order to get good business credit. But all those things considered, you would be able, like if you have all your ducks in a row, you'd be able to get pretty large or fairly large credit loans or credit card limits in order to purchase real estate. But even if you don't have a business, personal credit, I know that a normal person can get maybe about $50,000 in credit limits, and you don't even need $50,000 to put a down payment on a property. So credit for sure is something that could help you.
Oh, and that actually takes me to a question that we had in studio last week, which when I mentioned that you could purchase real estate or you can fund your investment with a credit card, was how do you even get that much capital? And the answer to that was, besides being $50,000 or something like that you could use for a down payment, business credit.
Yeah.
So can you explain that to us?
How to get business credit?
Well, business credit, we know, works on your personal,
mm-hmm.
but give us a tip on how to get a large capital like that in order to be able to fund our investments.
So the first thing would be to have your credit in order. So, because again, your business credit initially is going to be based off of your credit until your business has its own credit line established. So, in order to get those high limits, you just want to make sure that your scores look great. Because I think you probably have talked about this many times, but when a lender gives you money, they want to know that they can trust you to pay it back. And the way that they judge that is by looking at your credit scores. And if the business doesn't have its own credit score, there's no way for them to judge that besides your own credit score. So
Right.
have your credit score looking fancy. And
Any other practices?
practices like as far as paying down debt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you want to always make sure you're paying down on your debts. Make sure you don't have a high utilization. So there are 5 main ways that credit is built. I think I spoke about it for sure on the last time I was on the show.
If you don't know by now, go watch the last video. We're not gonna get into all of that.
Right, yeah. So, or you can just Google it. Quick Google. How do I keep my credit score high? And yeah, follow all those things, and you should be good to go.
So essentially, the business credit just works the same way as the personal. It's just one is for business, one is for personal.
Yeah,
Correct.
more or less. Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess because it's a business, they understand that you might need more capital. You know, as an individual, you probably the real estate you're going to be purchasing is maybe a single family home. As a business, you might be purchasing a shopping center, something
That's
like
true.
that. So they give you, more. There's more opportunity for larger loans in that.
Besides private and harmony lending and of course traditional loans, are there any type of real estate funding out there? Any other types?
Any other types? Not that I can think of. Just like, I think those are the main ones. There's always like little SECTS, SECTS, in in between those. But yeah, so hard money, private money, traditional, conventional loans.
Yes.
And so we talked about this a little bit, Alexis and I, off screen. But so if you have a traditional, like if say you live in a home currently and you've been paying your mortgage payments, you can do something called a HELOC. So basically, HELOC stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. So basically, you take a little bit of the value from your home out in order to use it for something else. Some people use it for emergencies, like medical emergencies, or they just retired and they don't have money, or some different things like that. But one of the smartest ways, or most efficient ways to use it is to do real estate investment. So you can take a little bit of money out of the increased value of your home to use it to pay for the purchase of real estate investment properties. But again, you want to do your due diligence. Don't just take money out and start going all willy-nilly buying stuff. You want to make sure that when you do take out a HELOC, you're not going to be even further in the hole after. You want it to help build that generational wealth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for Ms. Ruth?
At this time, no. No, I think we're good on. We're good on the property thing.
I think I see a few people who joined in on Instagram Live. So again, Alexis, if you can tell them where to go if you want to ask a question.
Yes, if you want to ask a question or tune in with a comment, go to Alexis's South Florida Oasis on YouTube and on Facebook. That's ALEXIS, no apostrophe, South Florida Oasis, YouTube or Facebook. And join our conversation. Let us know. The question of the day will be if you guys have made any real estate investments on your own. Let us know in the comments. Ruth.
Yeah.
One thing that people don't realize is when you purchase a home, purchasing a home in itself is an investment.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the different types of funding that you can do for your home, because a lot of people, let's backtrack. Right now we're in a seller's market and it's super, super hard to qualify for a decent home because all the prices are being elevated. Talk about the first-time home buyer programs. How do you feel about them personally? Will you recommend them to your clients?
There are some first-time home buyer classes or programs that I would definitely recommend to my clients. One of the first-time home buyer programs that I think is it's spoken very well of, but there are definitely pros and cons to it, are the grant programs that they have available for different counties. So if you don't know, every county has, or I should say every county in this tri-county area here in South Florida, so Dade County, Broward County, and Palm Beach, have different grants that are allotted to their cities that you can get for your home. So I think Dade County has grants up to $90,000. Broward County has grants up to $50,000, and I don't remember the amount for for Palm Beach, but I think it's somewhere between those two numbers. And so basically, they allot these grants throughout the year per city, and all you have to do is apply, more or less. Sometimes there's a prerequisite class that's required for it. So I think those grants are absolutely great if you are, more of a flexible person. You're open to whatever city, because, for example, you might want to live in Plantation, but the only grant money that's available is for Pompano. So if you're flexible like that, and you're not married to being in one specific city, I think the grant programs can be great. Also, if you are sure that you're going to live in that location for, it's going to be your homestead either until you pay off the home or, indefinitely, those grant programs are also great. What I have seen that can be a con to those grant programs is that sometimes it ends up being like a second mortgage on your home. So
not sometimes, all the time.
Well,
there's always a second mortgage reported on your home when it comes to those first time home buyer programs, which is what they don't tell you.
Right.
And the second mortgage, if you decide to sell it or leave that home before a certain amount of years, like you were saying, like some programs it's 10, some it's 15, some it's 30.
Yeah.
If you decide to up and leave that home, you have to pay back.
Yeah.
So it's a grant, but it has stipulations to it.
Yeah.
So if you are able to purchase a home without those home buyer programs, bless you, I would 100% recommend doing so. Yeah. And let's talk about readiness.
Yeah.
For purchasing.
Yeah. So last thing on that, like Alexis was saying, the grants, as long as you like those stipulations, if you know you're flexible for any city and you're able to stay there long enough to be able to pay off the loan, it works out. So something else that could work in favor of those grants is something called velocity banking. So and if you want, we could talk a little bit about real estate investment education companies. There are quite a few of them out there, and I'd love to share some of my insights on those. So velocity banking is taught by some real estate investment education groups, and that's one of the ways that you can take a 30-year mortgage and pay it down in 10 years, in which case one of those grants, you wouldn't have to worry about paying back the second mortgage because, you did velocity banking. So you said preparedness, being ready for purchasing a home.
My question really is how does one determine if they're really ready? Because sometimes we think we're ready, but we're really not ready for it.
True. There's so many ways to determine if you're ready. So for example, again, flexibility. If you're somebody who's like, no, I have to have a $500,000 house, it has to be in Margate, it has to be this, that, and the other. Maybe you're not ready if your finances don't match that. But if you're somebody who, you want to purchase a home, you just want to get your foot in the door so that you can, start building assets and things like that, it doesn't take as much. I know that there are some lenders who your credit score, I think, can be as low as a 620, in some cases a 580, right? Mm-hmm. For you to be able to purchase your first home. This is recently in Broward County. I saw a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Didn't last on the market long, but it was $65,000 in Broward County.
That's a steal.
Yeah, definitely a steal. So those kinds of properties are out there. So to answer your question about being ready,
She said you must have to dig for that property at $65,000.
It popped up on my MLS.
But how? What's the condition of the property though?
It did need not a lot. I would say maybe like about $10,000 in repairs.
Okay,
it wasn't bad at all. It was just a minimal updating. The bones were good.
I have a comment to make, but go ahead, finish.
Okay. So yeah, if you're open, to answer your question about being ready, if you're open, you're just, your mind's not set on this, dream house. You understand that, you might be in, your first time home, mm-hmm. and grow from there. Then yeah, you're ready. I think that to me, that says ready. You're open for that kind of thing, and you're ready to, do what it takes to make the jump
there. And you're actually going to put offers in that makes sense. And
you have the down payment. I think a lot of people realistically are not aware that they have to have a down payment.
Yeah.
I think they feel like, okay, if I have like $6,000-$7,000, that's it. There's a lot more entailed that, the average person who doesn't know about real estate would be like, okay, I'm ready to buy a house. Like, say, for instance, I can only put an example of myself. So, say I have 10 grand, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to buy a house. 10 grand, my score is like, what, 590. I'm thinking, okay, I could buy a house. So, you go running down to the place, and then when they start saying you need this and this and this and this, and you're just like, yeah. But in your heart, you know you want to buy a house. So, and I think there's a lot of scams out there that the public needs to be aware of. You know, people claiming to sell you a quick claim deed for a property or transfer a mortgage over to you. You know, a lot of those things are scams. And, you know, there's some people out there desperate, so they have to know the process.
Right.
You know, that's definitely something that's important, and to go to a licensed realtor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so
To
definitely.
go to a licensed realtor. Yes. Hi.
Totally distracted today.
Okay. We have a studio guest who seems to want to interrupt, so I'm going to let him have some shine today, if you don't mind. Come here, Elijah. You what?
Oh, he needs to go to the bathroom.
Oh, okay, well, come say hi to the people, and then we'll arrange for you. Come on! Come on, Jamaican man!
Trying so hard to get into the camera.
Look at the camera over here. Say hey,
hi.
everybody. Say make sure you tune into Money Mondays every week, Monday at 6 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook Live, right? All right. Go ask Rachel to take you to the bathroom.
I know the bathroom.
It's not over there. Bye. Bye, Elijah. Okay.
Mommy do
I'm
this.
so deaf, I don't know where the bathroom is.
No.
Okay, so let's get back into it.
No worries.
Real
Real life happening here, guys.
Yes. What my comment was is you said the property was a 2-2.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about expectations.
Expectations.
How often do you find that people are looking for a single family as a 2-2?
Not often.
Right. And so the 3-2s that seem to be like the entry level kind of home,
Mm-hmm.
they're so much more expensive
Mm-hmm.
than the 2-2s.
Yeah.
And the prices sometimes don't even match for what the kind of property is. What I had clients that I were helping to look for a 3-2, and what we came across more so were those homes that had additions to them. But
So it wasn't originally.
It wasn't originally
Yeah.
the 3-2, which is something that you find so often where we live in South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what advice do you give for people who are adding on additions to their homes? Because the complaint that I was getting was that the additions were just not properly done, or they were made for their eyes only, basically, not something that everybody would enjoy.
Supposed to see, yeah.
So, what for those investors who are thinking, okay, I can make some bank by turning this 2-2 into a 3-2, what advice do you have?
Great question. So, especially on the real estate investment side, you want to make sure that you are doing everything to code. You want to make sure everything is permitted. I know a lot of times people want to cut corners, save money, save time. It doesn't really save you time at all when you don't make sure that your things are properly permitted. So that would be my recommendation. Make sure that everything's properly permitted. I would go ahead and go through with an interview process with your contractors and things like that, to make sure, because, there's a lot. This is South Florida. So you hear a lot of times a case of like, he told me he blah, 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 he did this, the other, and then he's gone with your money and you're stuck with a big problem to fix. So, go through a little, list of things that you need to make sure that your contractors have. Or
which would be what?
Lots of different things. There's a whole, so for example, you want to make sure your contractor's licensed. You want to make sure that, so licensed. You want to make sure that they are actually giving you documents of proving that they pulled the permits, because them as a contractor, they might decide that they want to cut corners or something like that. I'm blanking a little bit right now on some of the other qualifications, but yeah, there's
And you could
a long
also
list.
double check. I would say double check because a lot of these properties that have additional add-ons that weren't properly put on,
Mhm.
you know, because you look downtown and it's going to say this is supposed to be a 2-3.
Right.
So obviously, if he pulled a permit, you could go downtown and be like, "Hello, did he pull the permit for this or not?"
Absolutely, public
So
records.
when you don't see it in the public records too, tell that contractor to
But
take
what
a
we're
hike.
trying to do is avoid those issues because what I was explaining was that there was a lot of 2-2s being turned into 3-2s, but they just weren't.
Right.
So how do we fix that? How do we make sure that everything is at
Up
least
to
decent?
I would say call your
Look-
city and double check behind your contractor. Because they're going to tell you stuff. And because you're the customer and you're willing and you're like, you believe them because, this is somebody working with intimately. So you're going to be like, yeah, I believe you.
Mhm.
But still, as much as they're trustworthy, as much as they're doing an excellent job, still check behind their back to be safe. So you don't look like a duck when you're trying to sell your house.
The Better Business Bureau would be a great place to check because there's a lot of complaints and stuff like that. So you can make sure that your contractor or whoever you're hiring
Is reputable.
is not shady.
And then Angie's this.
Use that? I've never really used
Me
Angie's
either.
List before.
Yeah. Angie's List. Angie's List.
But I mean, just double check because at the end of the day, money talks and everything walks. So with all of these people, Yelp, um, Angie's List, all of them, you can actually pay to get good ratings. So you still have to go by references and just search Google them, Google the company because most people who are unhappy are definitely going to put something on Google under their name. So.
I have done that a time or two.
Okay, I've done it a few times, so I'm
That's
telling you,
true.
now put it. You might want to believe Google a little more.
So, Ruth, is there anything else that we should know when it comes to investing in real estate?
I think just get your foot in the door somehow. Make sure you don't. So I can speak from personal experience as far as, I think it goes with anything in life. Investing too much in education. Education is very important. It's very helpful. You definitely don't want to just go out and like be haphazard about things and not know anything about what you're doing. However, I think sometimes a trap that many of us find ourselves in is like just hiding behind the wall of education. We're like, oh, I need to learn more. I need to do this more. I need to do that. And then, you find yourself, especially depending on which education systems you go with, you can find yourself having spent so much money that you could have now had like maybe 10 or 12 real estate investment properties. And you still don't have that because you're,
That's very true.
you spend all your money on education.
Experience is your best teacher.
That's right.
You can have all the education, but it's not going to prepare you as much as actually getting out and doing it will.
And the one that hurt you the most is no experience. Dude, I just finished school. Where you wanted me to get the experience from?
Absolutely.
So they'll hire you for free faster than they'll give you a job with education.
Yeah.
And sometimes and I hear it a lot, like people go to school, they think they're gonna get this perfect job and then they end up getting a job getting paid triple doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the most annoying thing. Fell in that trap myself. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why did I just spend this $40-something thousand to go to school?
Right.
And I can't even use my degree.
Yeah.
It really sucks.
Or you find yourself not even necessarily fulfilled. You spend all your time. School was fun, learning about it, but then you get to the actual career
and, you're like,
it's not as.
It sucks.
Yeah. So don't hide behind education. Get out there. Get your feet wet. Also, just have a plan. Like if you want to do, if you know you want to do, you don't want to be a landlord ever. You just, you want to fix the property and get out of it. Then, do all your research about that. If you do want to be a landlord, you do want to, you like the sound of that, property management, that kind of thing. Pick your avenue, do a little bit of research on it, and then go jump.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What mindset should people be in when they're investing?
Definitely, couple of mindsets come to mind. So growth mindset, positive mindset. So you definitely, you can't have a fixed mindset. You can't think it's all gonna go this one way. Like real estate is, I think anything in life actually, but real estate in particular is very, things don't always go the way you plan them. And then, if you get really knocked off by things not going as you planned, it could take you out of the game. I know I've had family members who, one deal went sour and then they just folded their hands and they're like, I'm done with this. Whereas if you keep going, consistency is key. You keep going steadily in the right direction and it'll pay off. So definitely you want to have a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset. Positive mindset. I think that goes for, not only real estate investment, but just life. Like, just because you failed at your first transaction doesn't mean that you're going to fail the next one. Yeah. Or even if you failed at, God forbid, 3 of them or something like that, just keep going. You learn from each mistake presents you with new lessons to be learned that you can take on to the next experience that you have.
So freaking lovely. All right. Now we're going to turn it over to Miss Rainisha. She has a few announcements. I was going to announcements. Announcements for us. Remember to look up at the camera. So
hello. Oh, God. Something's going down in your deal.
Something is going down.
Okay, so my announcement today, I'm just going to give out a couple referrals for COVID-19 financial assistance. So the first one I wanted to go to is the city of Fort Lauderdale has launched the Coronavirus Relief Fund, assisting with rent, mortgage, and utility payments to those affected by COVID-19. So in order to go ahead and visit, you go to the www.fortlauderdale.gov, and they will be helping, and that's through the Foundation of America. So I know a lot of them have closed down. The next one that is funding is through Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies Coalition of Broward. They are giving funding up to $125 maximum. But I mean, it's $125, but it's
buy little
something
groceries with that.
Help.
That's right.
So that website is www.hmhbbroward.org.
Say it one more time so I can write it.
www.hmhb, then Broward.org. And that's through Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies. And it's not restricted only to those who have babies. They are assisting everybody. But when they run out of funding, they made it very clear. When they run out of funding, they run out of funding.
That makes sense.
So, and then emergency financial assistance. And this is through, bear with me one second. Now, this assistance is going to help you with gas, bus cards, car payment, and utilities due to COVID-19. And if somebody would like to sign up for this one, it is through the Parents Information and Resource Center. And their website is www.pircinc.org. And they will also be assisting with gas, car payments, utilities. Not rental, though. All right, so there's no fees. And you put in your application and you could call in. They're located off the Dixie and their number is 954-785-8285. And now for my business owners, I did not forget about you. The Broward County is opening up. It's not fully open yet. So you'll have to check the site every day to see if that orange button lights up. And that's on www.broward.org/cares. Again, it's broward.org/cares. And you will see the application part for small businesses. They're giving 5, 10, and 15,000 grant. And it's from 0 to 20 employees. Now, of course, when they say 0, that means you're the only employee because you're a sole proprietor. So you'll have to, and then you'll have to turn in your 1040 easy as well to get that grant. And again, it's first come, first serve. And you cannot, if your revenue is over $1 million, please do not go trying to sign up on the people's site. Thank you.
She told y'all. Leave it for the rest of us small business owners, please.
Okay, and it's 20 or less employees, and if it's nonprofit, it's 25 or less.
Okay. Ruth, I just want to say thank you so much again for stopping by and dropping some knowledge. Let us know where the people can reach you if they want to
Most
contact
definitely.
you?
If you'd like to contact me, you can definitely reach out to me on Instagram. That's Ruthie.Ruth. So my
It's up
Ruthie
here on
is
the
spelled,
screen.
it's on the screen, yes.
Yes.
And in case you're just listening, overhearing, Ruthie is spelled uniquely. So it's RUTHYIE. So both the Y and the IE. There's a story behind that. But yeah, so Ruthie.Ruth that's my Instagram. And then, yeah, I think that's the best one to reach me via. If you want to give me a call, you can call me at 305-297-4781 or send me a text. Email is ruthiesellshomes@kw.com. I think text message or Instagram are probably the two best ways, but whichever one is more convenient to you, feel free.
All right, and that's all the time that we have for today's show. Thank you again for tuning in. Next week will be a more relaxed kind of vibe show. We're going to be talking about all relationships, because relationships is something you really need to be up in this
And all types
business.
of relationship, not love only.
No. Well,
All
the
types of
focus
relationship,
was
professional.
business, but hey, if you want to get a little personal, we can do that too. That's fine. All
I
right.
thought we'd get a little personal too.
All right, we could do that.
Now she in my territory. See, I don't know about all this real estate stuff. I gotta follow them. I just follow line with them. They're the real estate gurus. These two beautiful ladies.
Yes. Okay, so yes, we're going to be talking about relationships, and we're also going to be letting you guys know all about Renisha's organization, Carrie's Guardian Angels, and what that's getting ready to do. Big ups to Renisha. Woo! All right, everybody. So make sure you come right back here, same time, same place, YouTube, Facebook, Alexis and South Florida Oasis at 6 p.m. And we will see you on Monday. Bye, everybody.
Bye. And for those of you who tuned